Have you ever noticed that most of our local news media, Inquirer, ABS-CBN, JMA7, Manila Bulletin, all of these local news media that we have today are anti-Trumpers. They are spreading and publishing and posting uh, news articles or propaganda from liberals that are critical and that are negative of Trump in his campaign today. So the reason why is these local news media that we have today, like Inquirer, ABS-CBN, JMS7, Manila Bulletin, Philippine Star, almost all of them, they're simply buying news or propaganda from the liberal fake news media manufacturers or factories in the West. So these are the AP, Bloomberg, AFP, New York Times, etc. So they're simply buying all this. They don't have the capability to be in the United States in order to create these types of articles. So they're simply purchasing all this manufactured fake news from these liberal news media organizations or fake news organizations back in the US. So now we're going to talk uh, as to why do I really like Trump to be the president of the United States. So I've laid on the reason. If you're going to check on my previous videos or vlog, the reason is he's the best president, US president for Asia. Not only that he's the best president for the United States, but he's the best president, US president for Asia in the world because of his peace deals, and he's not really what we call an encroaching or too meddling U.S. president. So we have all these presidents or U.S. presidents in the past that are too meddling when it comes to the national affairs of other countries. So we had Bush, for example, who started or perpetrated or orchestrated this Iraq war, despite the fact that Osama bin Laden didn't have anything to do with the so-called weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And in fact, President Trump was against the invasion of Iraq, and I was against that invasion as well. I was too young at the time, but I was against that invasion because you know your country trying to sacrifice your own soldiers, your own young people in order to invade a country that didn't do anything against your country, that they were not the ones who perpetrated this World Trade terror attack in 2001. You're going to be sacrificing your young people in order to die in a foreign country that did not do anything, or was not the one that perpetrated the terror attack in 2001, but it was actually bin Laden and all these transnational terrorists he recruited from all over the world. So this is in international effort on the part of this transnational terror network to spread terror and to terrorize the United States. So, and Trump, like I said, was against the Iraq war or the invasion of Iraq. But that's going to be another story. So Obama, for example, kept troops in the Middle East despite campaigning for withdrawal of troops before he became president in 2008. So in fact, he uh, doubled or he increased the number of troops internationally, American troops, in order to have their bases in Iraq and all other parts of the world. And as we all know today, Obama and Clinton orchestrated the collapse of Libya by killing Gaddafi, the dictator of Libya. So they didn't have any business at all meddling with the national affairs of this country. So if the people of that country would like to maintain a dictatorship, then why the hell would you want to meddle and try to topple and cause imbalance, political and economic and military imbalance in that region or country? So all of this were caused by the Obama and Clinton era, what we call military interference by the United States in all these regions that they destroyed. So here is Clinton the former, the former nominee of the Democrats in 2016, who was beaten in a landslide electoral votes by President Trump.
Unconfirmed. Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
So she was laughing off the death of Gaddafi after Gaddafi was killed by American troops. So we came, we saw, he died, and then he blurted out his or her uh, signature evil Hillary Clinton laughter. She laughed it off. So this woman is a war criminal. She's an evil incarnate. So another reason why I like Trump to be the U.S. president is that the middle finger is like a fuck you to the deep state and the military industrial complex and the liberal elites in the United States. And in fact, Michael Moore said that in 2016 before the actual elections in November of 2016. He said it's like an fu to this snotty and snobby and arrogant Democrats and liberal elites who ignore the plight of the working class. And one thing that I will observe is the crossover of the deep state to the cultural megaphones of power. And I think Glenn Greenwald brilliantly stated that during his interview with Joe Rogan. So, as we all know, if you're not really familiar with Glenn Greenwald, he's the founder of Intercept, and he just resigned, I think 2 days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago, he resigned because of censorship, the censorship of the editors of the very publication or outlet that he founded. He was censored for trying to publish an article that's critical of the Biden campaign, because all of those editors of that Intercept, which was really infiltrated by Democratic operatives, tried to censor him and not publish his article, despite the fact that they published, unverified stories or propaganda against Trump. So basically, he resigned because you're not allowed to publish the article because it's not proven yet, it's not verified yet, despite the fact that it's all verified. So all the news and stories about Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden, regarding the corruption that they have, their corrupt family enterprise with China, it's all verified, it's all documented, and we have people speaking about this issue who are willing to testify under oath. And we have this Tony Babolonsky, interviewed by Tucker Carlson, and who's willing to speak with the FBI. And he said that the Biden family is under investigation. I'm not sure if it's actually Hunter Biden or Joe Biden, but there is an investigation, ongoing FBI investigation of the Biden family because of these dealings that they have with international corrupt forces, just like China and of course Ukraine and Russia. So, okay, so we have all these issues, but the main reason why we need to have Trump as president of the United States is because of the creeping censorship and meddling of the tech tyrants, Twitter, Facebook, and Google. All right, imagine what they did over the past few days. So they've been obviously siding with the Biden campaign. They're like Biden campaign operatives working to make sure that they're going to censor President Trump. They've been trying to censor all these articles in favor of Trump through the algorithm of Google, the algorithm of Facebook, and Twitter. And the most egregious of them all is actually Twitter. And Senator Ted Cruz was right in saying that you're the most egregious of the three because you obviously and flagrantly abuse your platform in order to hurt the Trump campaign and favor the Biden campaign, and that's election meddling, that's electioneering, and that should be against the law. And it's like an in-kind contribution to the Biden campaign, because you've been trying to use your platform in order to hurt the Trump campaign. And what's going to be the impact of that on global affairs? So that only means that these global tech tyrants, Twitter, Facebook, and Google, can use their platforms, okay, or their influences in order to impact or change elections of countries all over the world, especially in the Philippines, in Europe. So if they can do that to the most powerful nation on this planet, then they can also do that to any nation on earth to impact the election, except China, because they don't have elections in China. And China is actually has infiltrated Facebook, because according to news that we have today, Facebook hired, Chinese censors. Okay, it's all over the news. They hired Chinese censors in order to censor content. Okay, probably in favor of the Biden campaign. So Facebook has hired 6 Chinese nationals. Okay, because these 6 Chinese nationals are experts when it comes to censorship. That's what the Chinese are good at. Okay, I'm not really generalizing Chinese, but some of them, of course, especially if out of more than 1 billion people, they hired 6 Chinese nationals. So these Chinese nationals, 6 of them, must be the most expert of all Chinese people when it comes to censorship algorithm, according to this news. And the guy who blew the whistle is a Facebook insider. So let's read the news. So the insider shared an internal directory of the team that does much of this work. It's called hate speech engineering. So it's like an Orwellian, algorithm in order to censor the speech, and it's compromise. It's total compromise. Imagine an American company. Well, take note. All of these are American companies. They are incorporated in the United States, and they're following American laws, and they're protected by Section 230. Okay, the Section 230 that allow them to have an impunity. They are being protected from lawsuit to be brought about by private or government individuals or parties. Just to give you a brief background, Section 230, which is part of the Communications Decency Act of 1996, generally provides immunity for website publishers from third-party content. So it provides immunity to these tech tyrants, Google, Facebook, and Twitter, from lawsuits, despite acting as publishers or newspapers. Okay, so if they're gonna censor you for publishing or posting a content, you cannot have any right to sue them because of this immunity. So this means that they can always act like publishers, okay, and be immune from lawsuits coming from aggrieved party. So according to Trump and his allies and all the supporters of anti-censorship efforts in the United States, they're going to review this Section 230, which is being abused by these tech tyrants. They're abusing their platforms, and they're siding parties over the other in order to, I don't know what their purpose is, because we all know that the Democrats are for antitrust law. Okay, they're in favor of breaking up these companies in order to lessen their control. So the Democrats are the ones advocating for takeover of all this, all these tech tyrants or big corporations. So I don't know why they're trying to support their own destroyers, but that's actually the history of big businesses in the past. Even those big businesses or companies in or during the Nazi Germany period, they supported Hitler. The big, companies during that era supported Hitler, and that's why I call them useful idiots. So what I'm trying to tell you is that Trump has been fighting not just the Democrats, but also the tech tyrants and the deep state. The deep state, because ever since he became president, he was being spied on by the Obama administration. Obama, or President Obama and Clinton, abused or perverted the intel communities, the intel apparatuses of the government in order to spy on the Trump campaign. But despite that, Trump still won the presidency in 2016. Obama perverted and abused the intel apparatuses of the government, the FBI, the NSA, and other departments, just like the IRS, for example. The IRS was used in order to crack on conservative donors. Okay, they were investigated, they were spied on, etc. So, apart from Obama's abuse of power, we can see that the fake news media was also activated in order to spread propaganda against Trump. So, the Russia collusion, okay, it's been going on for the past 3 to 4 years up until now. So, a lot of Democrats were still shouting and spreading Russia Trump collusion, despite the fact that it was not proven by the Mueller witch hunt investigation. So, over the past years, we've seen high ranking Obama officials partnering with all these fake news industrial complex, CNN, MSNBC, etc. And they were like spreading a lot of anti Trump propaganda. They were the ones responsible for linking Trump to Russia. So, for example, Valerie Jarrett, John Brennan, former CIA chief, Loretta Lynch, they were all speaking to the media. They were using CNN, MSNBC, and the fake news, telling the public that, hey, Trump was an asset of Vladimir Putin. But when they were put under oath, okay, when they were officially investigated, they were under oath. They were saying, no, we don't have any proof at all that Trump was an asset of Putin, or that he was a beneficiary of Russian meddling. So basically, they were saying two different things. Whenever they use the fake news media, they were linking Trump to Putin. But when they were under oath and investigation, they sang differently, claiming that they don't have any evidence at all that President Trump is an asset or puppet of Vladimir Putin. That's how dishonest these people are. For 3 to 4 years, we've heard all this Russia Trump collusion coming from the fake news media and the Democrats claiming that, hey, Trump was a Russian asset, etc. So, the world was actually fooled by these people. Imagine what they could do to other countries. They actually used the same tactic during their campaign against Iraq. Okay, that's exactly the same campaign or tactic they use against Trump. So they activated the fake news industrial complex of the United States in order to fool the world, and they used that against Trump. And despite the fact that we now know, according to documents, that it was actually the Democrats. It was actually the Democrats who were relying on Russian disinformation, because we all know today that we have this Christopher Steele dossier. Christopher Steele was hired by the Hillary campaign in order to dig dirt on President Trump. And who is Christopher Steele? He is an ex-spy of the British government. Okay, he's an spy or ex-intel operative of the British government, and he was hired by the Hillary campaign in order to dig dirt on then candidate Trump, now President Trump. And Christopher Steele, we now know, relied on Russian sources. Okay, that's the irony of it. So he actually was relying on Russian sources, and because of that, so basically it's the Democrats who were spreading Russian disinformation, because all these sources that they relied on were Russians. And not only that, we now know, based on the handwriting document of former CIA chief John Brennan, okay, John Brennan, that it was actually Hillary Clinton who orchestrated the Russia collusion farce. Okay, it was Hillary. It was an idea of Hillary Clinton in order to divert people's attention from her private email server scandal. So here's the news coming from the National Review. So we have documents now because all of these documents were uh, declassified by President Trump and John Ratcliffe, the DNI director. So according to this news article that relies on official documents, okay, yes, Hillary Clinton orchestrated the Russia collusion farce. So did she or didn't she? Of course she did. In late 2016, Hillary Clinton, in an effort to divert attention from the email scandal that was haunting her presidential bid, directed her campaign to peddle a political narrative that Russia's suspected hacking and leaking of the Democratic Party emails was in furtherance of a conspiracy between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump to swing the election to Trump. So basically, they were the ones who created it with the help of the fake news industrial complex, MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post. They were the ones spreading Russian disinformation campaigns for 3 years while accusing President Donald Trump of doing the same thing that they're actually doing. Imagine the irony. Imagine the irony. If they could do that to a sitting president, then they could do that to any country on earth. Okay, imagine how powerful they are in creating or manufacturing crisis. And I'm sure Vladimir Putin was like laughing in Russia because he's simply letting the Democrats spread propaganda in order to destroy America. That's actually the best propaganda campaign you know um, an external government or an enemy of America could pull off. Okay, they're actually doing the distraction in your behalf. It's actually the Democrats who are spreading disinformation campaign using Russia as an excuse, and Russia just let the Democrats do it because that's actually the best way to divide a country without you doing anything at all in order to further the disinformation campaign yourself. If they could do that to a sitting president, they could do that as well to any country, like I said. So, like Glenn Greenwald is actually, like I said, the founder of uh, Intercept. He founded it in 2013 during this scandal with Snowden, Edward Snowden, who leaked all these documents concerning abuse by U.S. intel or America's spy apparatuses. He leaked all these documents. Snowden leaked all these documents to WikiLeaks. So now, Glenn Greenwald resigned from Intercept and said that most of these former Intel officials are now working with the fake news media. For example, John Brennan is working for MSNBC. Peter Strzok, Lisa Page are working for not Peter Strzok, but Andrew McCabe from FBI and Lisa Page are working for CNN. They are now working, and also uh, James Comey is can be found in almost all liberal outlets in the United States, in CNN and MSNBC, etc. So they're working. The CIA operatives are working for the fake news media against Trump. That's what they're doing right now. And now we have this censorship by big tech, the big tech tyrants, Twitter, Facebook, and Google, trying to interfere in the election process in favor of Joe Biden and against President Trump. And a few days ago, we've learned that Twitter suspended New York Post from posting any post at all on its platform. And it also suspended Kayleigh McEnany from posting after sharing an article from New York Post. So we have this Twitter from New York Post. It says, "We're back yesterday, October 31st. We're back," it says, after the hearings done by the Senate committee. They subpoenaed the CEO of these companies, Twitter, Facebook, and Google. And now we have this video of Senator Ted Cruz, yelling at Jack Dorsey of Twitter, "Who the hell elected you?" So let's listen to the confrontation between Jack Dorsey and Ted
Twitter
Cruz.
blocked the distribution of the New York Times' story a few weeks ago that purported to be based on copies of President Trump's tax returns?
We didn't find that a violation of our terms of service and this policy in particular because it was reporting about the material. It wasn't distributing the material.
Okay, well, that's actually not true. That they posted what they purported to be original source materials, and federal law, federal statute makes it a crime, a federal felony, to distribute someone's tax returns against their knowledge. So that material was based on something that was distributed in violation of federal law, and yet Twitter gleefully allowed people to circulate that. But when the article was critical of Joe Biden, Twitter engaged in rampant censorship and silencing.
And again, we recognized errors in that policy. We changed it within 24 hours. This is
But you're still watching the New York Post. You haven't changed it.
We have changed it. They can log into their account, delete the original tweet.
Here, Jack Dorsey lied under oath by claiming that you can still tweet or retweet the New York Post article despite what they did. But according to Ted Cruz and his succeeding tweets after this confrontation with Jack Dorsey, that's not actually the case, and Jack Dorsey lied under oath. Jack Dorsey must be arrested for lying under oath, just like what the Democrats and the Mueller team did to Roger Stone. Roger Stone was incarcerated and jailed for allegedly lying under oath for forgetting what he said in an email. In this case, Jack Dorsey was blatantly lying under oath to Ted Cruz, so he must be arrested for that.
Reporter to take down his.
So what is this issue all about? So basically, Twitter, Facebook, and Google are shielding the Biden campaign for its corruption. So the Biden campaign, or Joe Biden, was reported by New York Post getting bribery from China, and they have all these deals with China, 10% deal, etc. And that Hunter Biden, despite having no experience at all, despite being a drug addict, is the one making all these deals with China, Ukraine, Romania, and other countries, including Russia, in order to make money for Joe Biden, and that Joe Biden is actually the one benefiting from all these deals, using his name as former vice president of the United States. And Jack Dorsey, Twitter, Facebook, etc., banned the New York Post, the fourth largest newspaper in the United States and the oldest newspaper in the United States, from posting anything about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden or the Biden campaign because of the alibi that it's a hacked material. No, it's not a hacked material. The news did not base anything on any hacked material. That's actually a lie. That's a misinformation. Everything that the New York Post posted about the Joe Biden scandal did not come from a hacked material. So Jack Dorsey was lying under oath. He's just spreading disinformation to the public, and they did not have any reason at all to censor the New York Post based on their alibi that the New York Post article came from a hacked material. But not only that, they're actually lying as well, because if they're claiming that they have this policy of censoring or flagging any news article coming from hacked material, why the hell did not, you know, do the same thing to the fake news articles about President Trump's um, tax returns that came from hacked, materials. Okay, all these, fake news, Russian disinformation stories came from hacked materials, but Twitter did not do anything at all in order to protect the so-called privacy of President Trump. So, if it's um, helpful to Trump, but the story came from hacked materials, then they're gonna ignore it. But if it's about Biden, they're gonna censor it because they're basically in favor of the Biden campaign and against the Trump campaign. So that's the story that we have today. We hope that Trump is gonna win the election. I think he's gonna win in an electoral landslide, probably 320 to 330 electoral votes. It's gonna win over the Biden campaign this November 3rd or November 4th in the Philippines. So this is again a Censoration vlog, and have a good one to all of you.